Hi everyone, welcome to my wedding masterclass. In this class, I will teach you how to make bouquets on a row, bouquets for a bridal party. In fundamentals, you learn how to make bouquets. You actually have two videos, one with white florals and one hand tie. But in this case, we're gonna make bouquets for bridesmaids, which sometimes can be a little bit overwhelming because you have to make maybe 6, maybe 10, maybe 12. So you have to learn how to make them on a row. So welcome to my class. And now I'm going to teach you how to make bridesmaids bouquets. Bridesmaids bouquets are meant to be a smaller version of this, and you have to produce them quite fast as well. Again, the same thing as in centerpieces. Focus on delivering the same quality, the same beauty of flowers, but you have to learn to deliver. So this is what I'm going to teach you today. How to deliver a good bridal party, make several bridesmaids bouquets, and also how to make several boutonnieres. So the elements of my bridesmaids bouquets will be very similar to this bride bouquet that I made. And I have already prepared all my elements in the table. That will give you a very good advantage of how to make them quite fast. So as you can see in this table, I have same elements of here, but in a smaller proportion, so that I can make small version that will look beautiful, but I will make it in a different technique than you have seen me make them in the past. In the past, I taught you how to open your hand, how to relax your body, how to make everything soft and gentle, and that's fine for a bridal bouquet. But for bridesmaids bouquet, I'm going to teach you how to make them differently. In the previous videos, I taught you how to do it with your hand open, but in this video, I'm going to teach you how to do it holding the stems. So the first thing you're going to do is hold your stems like this. I'm using my 2 fingers, I'm being quite gentle, but I'm holding them to go quite fast. Now we're gonna make the bed, and you already know that principle very well, are going to give me the support for my main flowers. When I'm holding the flowers like this, what I'm doing is I'm going in the same directions of my stems. People that have worked with the spiral technique will find this very easy. But for the people that is new in this floral design journey, you just have to make sense of your stems. That means that you're holding them in the same direction as you go. I'm gonna add one more on the back, and I'm gonna make something like this. It's quite tight because this is going to be the smaller version of the bridal bouquet. The next thing is I'm going to add my main focal flowers. For this, I'm just adding 2 of these very beautiful peaches and cream dahlias. I'm gonna add one there, and the other is gonna be quite low, just like this. After that, I'm gonna add some lisianthus, and I'm probably gonna place one on the back, open the petals. It's easier to work your stems because now I'm really holding them, and I'm gonna grab another one and just place it behind in a different level, maybe here. There. This is where we are. Now I'm gonna grab 2 companions, which will be these bold dahlias. I'm gonna place one here on the side. Make sure that when you work with bold dahlias, you give them more support. And I'm gonna grab one more and just place it somewhere here. Remember when we were doing bridal bouquets, we didn't bother about the back. But in these small bridesmaids, you have to really think of them in a more round shape. I'm gonna grab one of these beautiful stems. I'm gonna place it in a place where they can really perform. And after that, I'm going to grab and add the movement. One side lean over here, another side lean over here, and finally, 2 more pompons to add movement. That one, I'm gonna place it over here on the back. I'm gonna make sure that I give her enough support so that she doesn't break. And the last small little one is going to be here. So this is going to be the small version of my bride, and I'm gonna tape it and ribbon it and show you how to make the second one and the third one. So I'm just gonna cut here, quite short. I'm removing the leaves or anything that can interfere on my taping. Hold it quite tight. Make sure that everything is in the place you want. and then grab a piece of tape. Again, remember, when we were doing bride, this was a little bit difficult because your hands are busy, but here you're holding the stems, so it's easier. You don't need a big piece of tape for these ones, you're just gonna cut something as this, and again, you're gonna use your thumb. So place your thumb like here, like this, hold it quite tight, and make a loop. And another one. And make another loop. Just make sure that it's quite tight and it's very secure, and you are ready to make the second one. Cut it quite short again, and you will place them in water. Before I place this one on water, I'm just gonna have a look at it, and I think it might benefit from another piece of styling. I just wanna make sure that it looks really balanced on both sides. So even if it's tape, you can still add things. So I'm just gonna come and add this little piece of styling. I'm just gonna place it in here to make it more balanced. I think you can see how now it looks more balanced from both sides. I'm going to remove this little piece, and I think I'm gonna add a vine or maybe a piece of jasmine also to make it more balanced on that side. I think it will make it look more balanced, but the main thing is that I already had my main elements on the table, and these things I can add it at the end. So it's gonna look something like this. I'm gonna tape it again before I put it into water. Again, this is easier because it's already taped, so I'm just gonna hold the bouquet, hold the tape with my thumb, give a loop, another loop, and secure it. Give this small bouquet a fresh cut and place it in water. Now let's do the second one. After, when we finish the third one, you'll have this very clear. First two stems in my hand, you hold them like this. Your second stem, you hold it here. When you're working with long stems, it's actually more difficult, so you can cut them quite short from the beginning because you know this is going to be a small bouquet. After, you know that already, we're making the bed. I'm following the line of my stems. I'm gonna place two on this side and another yarrow on this side before I go and place my main focal flowers. And again, I'm gonna give a cut to these stems. Now I'm gonna place my focal flowers, these peaches and cream, and I'm going to support them with my yarrow. And maybe cut here to make it less heavy, and continue with my companion's flowers. When I'm placing these flowers, as you can see, I'm making sense of the stems. That's something I want you to remember, because if you place the stems in different lines, you might break them when you tape them. So just make sure that they are all aligned and that you can actually place your tape quite tight. I'm gonna add one more, but because she's a bold dahlia and needs a little bit of support, I'm just gonna place it up here and give support to this one with this. Place some lisianthus, maybe one here, a little bit lower, and another one, maybe that's gonna come here. I'm gonna twist, place it somewhere down here, and finally, some of the movement elements. This pompon can go here, again because she has a very heavy head. I have to make sure that I find a place for her to have the support that she needs. Just gonna place it somewhere here. One more. That one's gonna come here. I'm gonna pull it from here, and then this piece of foliage and silene for movement. One piece, another curvy piece that will make this look very beautiful down here, and the third one here to give it more balance. And I'm gonna hold it, see it, give it a shake, maybe rearrange the elements again, and finally add the piece of jasmine somewhere here. And I'm ready to tape it. So again, before I tape it, I'm gonna cut the stems. I'm gonna remove all the leaves, and I'm gonna use my thumb to tape it quite tight. So grab your piece of tape, and remember, you put it on the side. You go quite high on this one, very different from bridal, where you go a little bit lower, not to lose the shape. Here we wanna give them a lot of support. So you're just gonna give a loop, another loop, and I think I'm gonna add another piece of tape before I put it in water, just to make sure that it's not gonna move and it's gonna stay where I want. Just one more. I feel it's quite tight. And then I'm gonna give it a fresh cut and place it in water. So I think it looks really nice to have this bridal bouquet and this bridesmaid's bouquet. Can you see how fast we're going? Because sometimes you're asked to make 10, 11 bridesmaids, and that can be time consuming. So if you learn to make them this way, you will perform really well and you will do amazing bouquets in very short period of time. Again, you grab your main stems, you cut them a little bit short, you make the bed to support your main flowers. I'm gonna add 3 pieces of yarrow. 1, 2, and 3. Make sure that you make sense when you are holding them in the stems so that they don't break. And then I'm gonna add my main focal flowers. I love these peaches and cream. I think they're really beautiful. And these bridesmaids bouquets don't need a lot of flowers because I'm using really special and beautiful flowers. If you're using more common flowers, maybe you want to add 3 or 4 stems more. But I think when you're using really special flowers, you can go quite small. It's all about the magic of the stems that you're using. I'm gonna grab some of these ball dahlias. I know that she has a very heavy head, so maybe for this one, I will benefit this bouquet by adding another piece of yarrow that can hold the head. I want you to see this. As soon as I place the yarrow, I give more support to this head and she will be more secure. And then I can add another one of these ball dahlias, again following the same direction of my stems. And I'm ready to add lisianthus. Number 1 can go here, the second one on the other side. And this is a little bit more intuitive, but by now I'm sure you know how to make that. You know that we want to give each flower its own space to breathe. You know that we want to make them look romantic and soft. And you know that the last layer is about creating more movement. So I'm gonna add one of these pompons, another one, maybe she's gonna come on the same side because in this composition or in this one just look nice together. And the last piece, add the foliage and the silene. One piece of foliage here, how beautiful it looks with the vine. And then another one here. When I do this, can you see how I place my bouquet facing down so that nothing moves? Just one more because they're too beautiful. And a piece of foliage to make them consistent. And I'm ready to tape and put them in water. So again, grab your piece of tape. Use your thumb, go quite high and quite tight. Make sure that everything stays where you placed it. and just give it a loop. 1, and 2, and make it quite tight. And then when it's safe, you can give it a fresh cut. Have a look at it. I think it looks gorgeous, it looks beautiful, and you can place it in water. So this is the way I would go on and on and on making my bridesmaids bouquets. I think if you look at them, even if they're smaller compared to your bridal bouquet, I think they look right. The proportion is right for a bridesmaid's bouquet. So don't be afraid to make them smaller. I think you just have to understand that this is about delivering the same quality, the same romance, the same look through all your wedding. You will make these bouquets the day before the wedding. Don't try to make them the day of the wedding because you will be stressed with other things that you have to do, like packing, like, I don't know, just putting extra flowers, making ceremony. So you have to have them ready the day before. One tip that I can give you is that as soon as your flowers arrive, maybe you want to separate the most beautiful blooms for your bridal bouquet and for your bridesmaid's bouquets. Have someone of your crew to separate those flowers and put them in separate buckets for you to be able to make them whenever you have time the day before of the wedding. In fundamentals, I taught you how to ribbon your bridal bouquet. But here it's a little bit different. The first thing you have to do is dry your stems. Just make sure that you are not going to stain your beautiful silk ribbon. And you're gonna put them like this. It's very similar to what we do for our bridal bouquet, but we want to make sure that the ribbon performs a really beautiful thing for the bridesmaids. Some people will ask you to do it all the way around. They don't want to have any loose ribbon for their bridesmaids, and some people are happy to have the silk ribbon loose. I think if you're using a very beautiful ribbon, it's really nice to leave it loose, but if you're using a more cheaper ribbon, I think you can go and cover all the way your stems. Just gonna show you here. I think you can appreciate that in the camera. I'm just gonna tie this and make a second knot. And I think it looks quite pretty like this. I think the bridesmaid can hold it like this. They can have their photos on the side like this. They're just beautiful loose. I'm going to teach you another way of ribboning this if you've been asked to have it all the way around and without loose ribbons. So I'm going to leave this one here and take this one to teach you how to do that. Again, I'm going to dry the stems. I'm going to dry them really well. I'm going to make sure I don't stain my silk ribbon. And I'm going to take my ribbon, and for this one, I'm going to go all the way around. So the way you do this is you'll hold your ribbon like this. With your hand, I'm going to remove this flower, and then I'm just going to start making loops. I don't like to go all the way down because I think it looks very unnatural. You will have to ribbon maybe half of the stems. Make sure it looks quite nice, quite straight. As you can see, the ribbon got wet, but it doesn't really matter. That will get dry after. Especially these last loops will look dry and perfect. And when you are about to finish your ribbon, you want to just do a little turnaround and hold it like this, okay? Hold your ribbon quite tight with your thumb and grab your pins. When you're using pins, you have to make sure you go in this direction, the same direction of the stems. Sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do. Sometimes some stems doesn't really want to cope, but you just have to be patient. So I have 1, Grab your second pin and you're gonna place it just underneath, and again you're gonna go in the same direction of the stems up. Okay, I can see it here, so I don't want that to happen. I will have to do this again. I'm gonna hold it, try one more, a little bit more diagonal, and that's it. So this is the way you can deliver if they ask you to do it quite tight, or you can do it this way if they like the loose ribbon idea. These are the beautiful bridesmaids bouquets we're making for this wedding. Just gonna place them there. One thing that I wanna go through is about delivering them. You have to make a box where you're going to put your vases, because remember, these bouquets are going to be sitting for hours, maybe while they're doing their photo shoot, maybe while they're waiting for the ceremony to start. So you have to make sure that they will be in water and they won't get sad as the day passes. So the way to do this is quite tricky, but I've learned it the hard way. I think you don't want to deliver bouquets with ribbons that are all stained and wet. So you have to remove all the water, pretty much all the water, and then you're gonna put a napkin inside. It doesn't look very pretty. It doesn't look bad. It's just the right way to do it if you don't wanna have, just like this. Place it here, allow for the napkin to get wet. I just need some humidity here to keep these bouquets hydrated for the rest of the day, and I'm gonna place it here. Making sure all the stems are getting into the wet towel so that they don't dehydrate as the day passes. The same you're gonna do for this type of bouquet. Just you're gonna make sure that when you do it, you have your stems in the napkin, but the ribbons are loose outside. And this is how you place them in a box and you deliver them to your event planner. Bridal party is made also of boutonnieres. Sometimes you will be asked to make wrist corsage, flower crowns, but the main things are usually bridesmaids bouquets and groomsmen's boutonnieres. Let's pretend this is my boutonniere, which you already learned how to do in fundamentals in our videos of white bridal bouquet. So I'm going to follow the same recipe and make several boutonnieres on a row. It's the same principle as when you're making your bridals. You want to make sure that you have everything ready on your table to be able to produce this quite fast. So these are the elements of my boutonnieres. I already prepared them. You can ask someone of your crew to have that ready for you, and then you can start making your boutonnieres quite fast. Always the first step is to grab a piece of more thick or more harder leaf, and then on top I'm going to start to lay the things that I need. For this one, I'm gonna add one silene, a piece of this beautiful foliage on the side. Same principle as bridesmaids bouquets, you have to follow the line of your stems. Now I'm gonna add this very beautiful piece of fern. I'm just gonna grab it somewhere here. Maybe I need to get rid of this leaf. It looks too busy. I'm gonna place this here. I love grasses for boutonnieres. I think they always make them look incredibly textural, and they make it for you. And some trendles from a vine will give them a lot of movement. That's it. And just to make them part of your brides and the same elements, I'm gonna add a piece of jasmine. And again, this is about having it hold really, really tight. Cut your pieces and cut a piece of tape. As tiny as this, you don't need more than that, but you have to do it quite high. The higher you go, the more secure this boutonniere will look and the nicer it will look. And as you go, try to be quite tight when you are making the loops. Every single loop you tight. So you make sure that they look really solid. That's it. Once you are sure, you can cut the rest of the tape and start doing the second one. I'm not gonna cut the stems just yet because it's gonna be easier for me to have them longer to ribbon. So I'm just gonna leave it like that here. And I'm gonna start another one. Again, by repeating this, it will be very clear for you at the end of this class how to make boutonnieres on a row. One stem, second stem. Let's grab this one that has a nice curve, and then maybe we want to place it here. A nice piece of grass just here. The fern, which is really pretty. Just gonna grab it here. And the piece of jasmine to give it another type of green and more depth. And again, I'm ready to ribbon and to set it aside. Small piece of tape. Grab it with your thumb, quite high. Every single loop, you make it tighter, tighter and tighter. There's nothing more horrible than a boutonniere that looks all wobbly and loose. And also, the groom and the groomsmen are going to be wearing this all day. So you have to make sure that they are quite tight so that they don't lose shape during the day. I'm just gonna cut the longer stems, but I'm gonna leave it here to make the last one. One more, your solid leaf. I'm gonna place my foliage, my silene. I think I'm gonna use another piece. That one's a little bit sad. This one is nicer. I'm gonna grab my grass. Don't forget the little trendle, which is really beautiful and it looks adorable. A piece of fern here. And finally, the piece of jasmine somewhere here. And again, I'm gonna hold this quite tight on the top. Grab a piece of tape and ribbon this quite high and very tight. Each loop, it's important to make it more solid as you go. And when it's ready, you can leave them in small bottles of water during the night, but usually I use elements that won't dry, so I am happy just to leave them in a wet napkin, resting there through the night. This napkin is not the most beautiful thing, but it is what it is. And you can wet them and you can just make sure that all the stems are drinking water if you made them the day before, which is what I recommend. When we talk about ribboning this, we're gonna grab a piece of ribbon. Exactly the same. We are delivering this, making sure that we can ribbon them half an hour or maybe an hour before we're asked to be delivering personal flowers. Just gonna put them on the side and I will show you how to ribbon this. I'm gonna go quite slowly because I want this to be appreciated on the camera. Lean your boutonniere there and make a small loop. When I make the loop, I'm holding the boutonniere because I want the ribbon also to look quite tight. And then I'm gonna do another loop and another loop. One more on the other side, and I'm gonna place it on the table. And I'm gonna hold with this finger the center and make a knot. And just go quite tight on this one, don't be afraid. It's not gonna break, it's actually really good that you do it quite tight. And then I'm gonna make a second knot. And I'm going to cut what I have left here. More or less this length. And after I've done that, I'm gonna cut the stems a little bit shorter, just like that. and deliver them with 2 pins. Grab your first pin, go to the back of your boutonniere, somewhere here. You have to go a little bit hard. Sometimes it's tricky, but it's fine. You're just gonna grab one there. The other one can go in the opposite direction. And this is how you're going to deliver them for the event planner to put them in your groomsman's jacket. So now you know everything you need to know to make personal flowers something that you can produce in a fast mode without stress. I know that making weddings will never be easy. It's actually quite difficult and sometimes very exhausting, but I'm sure these classes will give you the right elements to perform your weddings in a really nice way. Thank you so much for watching.